Well, Rollins won the match. Superman punch because Reigns...
The roaring crowd, his voice trembling with fury and his eyes burning with vengeance as he vowed to bring down Roman Reigns and his newly formed faction, the New Shield. This wasn't just about championships anymore. This was about pride, betrayal, and reclaiming respect from a man Rollins once called his brother. The ghosts of the past. Return for longtime fans, the mention of the Shield still sends chills down their spines. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose, now known as Jon Moxley outside WWE, once formed one of the most dominant stables in wrestling history. They stormed through the locker room in black tactical gear, moving as a single unstoppable force, united by loyalty, strength, and brotherhood. But that brotherhood shattered the night Rollins turned on his brothers, driving a steel chair into Reigns' back, an act that marked the end of the Shield and the birth of Seth Rollins' darker persona. That moment forever defined both men's careers. Years later, after countless battles and shifting alliances, it seemed the wounds had faded. But the announcement of a new Shield, handpicked and led by Roman Reigns himself, ripped them wide open again. The new Shield emerges. The formation of the new Shield stunned fans and superstars alike. Roman Reigns, who had dominated WWE for years as the tribal chief, decided to rebuild what once made him untouchable, a brotherhood bound by dominance. This time, however, the faces were different. Standing by his side were two rising stars from NXT, Solo Sikoa, the enforcer and cousin of Reigns, and Zilla Fatu, the fiery newcomer from the Samoan dynasty. Together, they embodied the next generation of power and loyalty, but this Shield wasn't about justice, it was about control. Wearing tactical vests reminiscent of the original faction, they descended through the crowd at SmackDown, fists clenched, the familiar image sending waves of nostalgia and unease through the arena. For the WWE Universe, it was a moment of déjà vu, the past reborn but corrupted. For Seth Rollins, it was a knife to the heart. Rollins' emotional breakdown. The following Monday night, the arena was electric. The fans awaited Rollins' response. When his theme, "Burn It Down," hit, the place erupted. But this time, the usual grin and swagger were gone. Rollins walked to the ring slowly, his face etched with a mixture of disbelief and anger. Taking the microphone, he stood in the center of the ring for a moment, soaking in the chants of "Seth, Seth, Seth," before finally speaking. "You think you can just take our name, Roman? You think you can rewrite history? I bled for that name. I built that name. The Shield was more than a group. It was a brotherhood. And now you're out here, spitting on everything we ever stood for." The crowd roared in agreement, chanting, "You sold out!" The same words once hurled at Seth years ago. It was poetic, almost cruel. But this time the roles were reversed. Rollins continued, his voice rising with every word. "Roman Reigns, you've become everything we swore we'd destroy. Power-hungry, arrogant, untouchable. You've surrounded yourself with followers who don't even understand what the Shield was about. You're not the leader of the Shield. You're the tyrant of the bloodline. And now you're trying to merge the two to build your empire. But I swear to you, I'm going to burn it all down." The words hit like a thunderclap. Roman's response. Roman Reigns, ever the calm and calculating tribal chief, didn't take long to respond. Later that week on SmackDown, he stood in the ring surrounded by Solo Sikoa and Zilla Fatu, a smirk on his face, the undisputed championship draped over his shoulder. "Seth Rollins wants revenge?" Roman scoffed. "He's still living in the past." He doesn't get it. The Shield was never about brotherhood. It was about leadership. And I was the leader. Seth was just the architect who built a castle I now rule. He then turned to his new recruits. This is the future. The new Shield doesn't bow to anyone, not Rollins, not Cody, not anyone. We run this industry now. Believe that the message was clear. Roman wasn't looking for peace. He was declaring war. The war begins. Over the following weeks, tensions reached a boiling point. Rollins began launching surprise attacks on Reigns' allies. ambushing Solo Sikoa backstage and interrupting Zilla Fatu's matches. Each week his rage grew. He appeared on camera with bandaged ribs, eyes wild, promising that this wasn't about championships anymore. It was about redemption. "You can take my title, Roman," he said in one fiery promo, "but you'll never take my legacy. You'll never erase what the Shield meant to the people who believed in us. And if you think you can use that name to keep your empire alive, I'll make sure you choke on it." Crowds everywhere began chanting, "Burn it down," louder than ever. The energy around Rollins shifted. No longer the flashy showman, he had become a man possessed. The emotional weight of history behind the bravado, though, there was pain. Deep down, Rollins still remembered the nights when he, Roman, and Dean ruled the world. 3 young men fighting for justice in a company that didn't believe in them. They had once been brothers until greed, ego, and destiny tore them apart. Now, standing on opposite sides of history, they were no longer friends or rivals. They were symbols of two ideologies, loyalty versus independence. Rollins wasn't just fighting Reigns. He was fighting the ghost of the man he used to be.